I never imagined a single text message could destroy my entire life. For 2 years, I believed I was building something real with Madison Reed. We kept our relationship secret because the company discouraged office romances, but every stolen lunch break, every late-night call, and every quiet smile across the office made me believe we were working toward a future together. I trusted her completely. That was my first mistake. It started on a Thursday night after another exhausting overtime shift. Most of the office had already gone home. I rubbed my burning eyes, stretched my stiff shoulders, and unlocked my phone. For weeks, Madison had been acting different. She replied with shorter messages. She canceled our dinner plans. She avoided touching my hand whenever someone walked by. I kept telling myself she was simply stressed. I opened our chat and began typing. Madison, I know things have been difficult lately, but I still love you more than anything. I'm tired of hiding us. Let's finally move in together. I want to wake up beside you every morning. Whatever is bothering you, we'll face it together. I promise I'll always choose you. I read the message twice. This is it, I whispered. I smiled and pressed send. Then I locked my phone, grabbed my jacket, and walked toward the elevator. Halfway to the parking lot, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the notification. My blood froze. Victoria Sinclair. I stopped breathing. No. I unlocked my phone with shaking hands. The message sat there like a death sentence. My heartfelt confession had gone to my new CEO. Not Madison. Victoria Sinclair. I stared at the screen. No. My fingers fumbled across the display. I searched for an unsend button. Nothing. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear myself think. What have I done? Another notification appeared. Victoria had seen the message. A typing bubble appeared, then disappeared, appeared again, then nothing. The silence terrified me even more. I typed another message. I'm so sorry. That wasn't meant for you. I deleted it. Typed again. Deleted it again. Nothing sounded professional. Nothing sounded believable. Finally, I threw my phone onto the passenger seat and drove home with my stomach twisting into knots. I barely slept. Every possible disaster played through my mind. I'm getting fired. I'll lose everything. She's going to report me. By morning, I looked as exhausted as I felt. The office buzzed with its usual energy, but something felt wrong. People kept whispering. Several co-workers looked toward the conference room. Then Madison walked inside. She wasn't alone. Brandon Wells stood beside her. He was our senior manager. Confident. Successful. The kind of man everyone admired. I frowned. What is this? Madison cleared her throat. Can I have everyone's attention? The conversation stopped. She smiled. I have 2 announcements. I felt a strange chill. First, I've accepted a transfer to our downtown branch starting next week. Several people applauded. She continued before anyone could ask questions. And second, she reached for Brandon's hand. We're together. The room exploded with congratulations. Someone whistled. Another co-worker laughed. I couldn't move. Brandon wrapped an arm around her shoulders. Thank you, everyone, he said. Madison looked directly at me. Our eyes met. For one impossible second, I expected guilt. Instead, she smiled politely. As some of you know, she said, I've had people misunderstand my kindness before. A few co-workers chuckled. I just want to make something clear. She folded her arms. If anyone thought we were ever more than co-workers. She shrugged. They imagined it. The laughter grew louder. Every word struck like a punch. I stepped forward. Madison, she interrupted immediately. Please don't make this awkward. I've moved on. You never even told me. She tilted her head. Told you what? I stared at her. Our relationship. Her expression turned cold. What relationship? The room became painfully quiet. She laughed softly. We had coffee together sometimes. Madison, don't embarrass yourself. Brandon looked at me. You okay? I clenched my fists. You knew. He answered calmly. I know she's with me now. Madison squeezed his hand. I've chosen someone who actually has ambition. My chest tightened. So that's it. She nodded. That's it. Without another glance, they walked away together. The whispers followed me through the office. I thought he actually believed they were dating. That's embarrassing. I almost feel sorry for him. I wanted the floor to swallow me. My phone vibrated. An email. From Victoria Sinclair. Please report to my office immediately. My vision blurred. This is it. I walked toward the executive floor like a man heading to his own execution. Every step felt heavier than the last. The receptionist smiled politely. Ms. Sinclair is expecting you. I figured. I knocked. Come in, a calm voice answered. I entered. Victoria sat behind her desk, perfectly composed. She looked up from a folder. Please close the door. I obeyed. She folded her hands. I couldn't meet her eyes. I'm sorry about the message. I blurted out. It was a mistake. I never meant to send it to you. I understand if this violates company policy, and I'll accept whatever decision you make. She stayed silent for several seconds. The quiet nearly broke me. Finally, she leaned back. So, she looked directly into my eyes. Are all your messages that honest? I blinked. What? The corner of her mouth lifted ever so slightly. I asked whether all your messages are that honest. I forgot how to breathe. That wasn't anger. It wasn't disappointment. It wasn't the conversation I expected at all. And in that single, confusing moment, without realizing it, my completely broken life quietly began changing forever. I left Victoria Sinclair's office completely confused. I had walked in expecting security to escort me out. Instead, she had smiled. Not a big smile, just enough to make me question whether I had imagined it. As I reached the door, her voice stopped me. One more thing. I turned around. Yes, ma'am. Next time you confess your love to someone, double-check the recipient. Heat rushed into my face. I definitely will. She nodded. Good. I hurried out before she could say anything else. The moment the elevator doors closed, I leaned against the wall. I still have my job. I repeated the words several times because they didn't feel real. I still have my job. The next morning, I expected awkward looks from everyone. Instead, my best friend, Oliver Grant, walked beside me carrying 2 cups of coffee. You look terrible. I didn't sleep. I can tell. He handed me a cup. What happened after the CEO called you upstairs? I wasn't fired. Oliver nearly dropped his coffee. What? I wasn't fired. You're joking. I wish I were. What did she say? I hesitated. You'll laugh. I probably will. I sighed. She asked if all my messages were that honest. Oliver stared at me. That's it. That's it. He blinked twice. I don't understand. Neither do I. Before either of us could continue, my phone rang. An internal company number. I answered immediately. This is Ethan. A calm voice replied. Ms. Sinclair would like to see you. I froze. Now. Immediately. I'll be there. Oliver frowned. Again. I nodded. I guess today is the day I actually get fired. You said that yesterday. I know. You came back alive. Barely. Victoria didn't waste time. She pointed toward chair. Sit. I obeyed. She closed a file. I've reviewed your recent performance reports. I swallowed. They're acceptable. Thank you. They're also honest. I looked up. What do you mean? You don't exaggerate numbers. I don't see the point. Most people do. She folded her hands. I need someone for several executive projects. I stared. I'm assigning you directly to my team. I'm sorry. You heard correctly. But I'm just an analyst. You are now an analyst working with me. I don't understand. You don't have to. She stood. You simply have to do the work. I slowly nodded. Yes, ma'am. And Ethan, yes. Leave your personal life outside this office. I will. Good. The first week nearly destroyed me. Executive meetings started before sunrise. Reports never seemed to end. Every document required impossible attention to detail. Victoria expected excellence. Nothing less. One evening, she noticed me rubbing my eyes. Tired. A little. A little. I haven't been home before midnight all week. She continued, reading a report. I haven't been home before midnight in 6 years. I looked at her. You've really worked that much? She finally looked away from the paperwork. This company isn't easy to run. I guess it isn't. No. She sighed quietly. People think being CEO means power. It doesn't. It means responsibility. She gestured toward several folders stacked across her desk. Shareholders demand higher profits. I nodded. Managers want larger budgets. She pointed toward another pile. The board questions every decision. Then she looked toward the window. and family makes everything worse. I stayed silent. After several seconds, she spoke again. My cousin Nathan believes he should be sitting in this office. He works here. He does. I've never met him. You will. She smiled without happiness. He'll introduce himself eventually. As the weeks passed, I saw a different Victoria. Everyone feared her. Everyone assumed she enjoyed being cold. They were wrong. She skipped meals because meetings never ended. She answered emails during dinner. Sometimes she quietly stared through the office windows for several minutes before returning to work. One evening, I placed a sandwich beside her laptop. You forgot lunch. She looked surprised. I did. You've also forgotten dinner. She glanced at the clock. It's already 8. You've been working nonstop. She looked at the sandwich. Thank you. It isn't much. It was thoughtful. For some reason, that simple sentence meant more than any compliment I'd received in years. Not everyone appreciated our working relationship. Madison certainly didn't. I noticed her watching us after meetings. One afternoon, she stopped me near the elevators. We need to talk. I don't think we do. She crossed her arms. You're spending a lot of time with Victoria. It's work. People are talking. They can talk. She frowned. You've changed. I had to. Before she could answer, Brandon walked over wearing his usual confident smile. There you are. Madison looked relieved. Brandon glanced at me. So, enjoying your promotion? I'm enjoying my work. He laughed. Everyone knows why you're still here. What do you mean? The CEO feels sorry for you. Madison looked away. Brandon continued. You're basically the company charity case. I took a slow breath. If believing that helps you sleep, keep believing it. His smile disappeared. What did you say? I said, excuse me. I walked around both of them without looking back. Later that afternoon, Oliver caught up with me. I heard Brandon start another scene. He did. What happened? He thinks Victoria pities me. Oliver shook his head. Ignore him. I'm trying. He lowered his voice. You need to be careful. What? People are jealous. Of what? You're working directly with the CEO. I earned that. I know. They don't. He placed a hand on my shoulder. Stay professional. I will. No unnecessary conversations. Okay. No gossip. I hate gossip. And absolutely no office romance. I laughed despite everything. I've learned that lesson. I'm serious. So am I. A few days later, Victoria handed me another report. You finished the merger analysis? It's already in your inbox. She opened her laptop. After several minutes, she nodded. Excellent work. Thank you. You caught 3 accounting errors the auditors missed. I was just doing my job. Exactly. She stood and extended her hand. For a second, I hesitated. Then I shook it. You've earned my trust, Ethan. Those words stayed with me long after I left her office. Madison had destroyed my confidence. Brandon kept trying to destroy my reputation. The rumors around the office refused to disappear. But none of that mattered as much anymore. For the first time since my world had fallen apart, I wasn't waking up thinking about betrayal. I was thinking about possibility. Maybe my future hadn't ended with one accidental message. Maybe, somehow, it had quietly begun with it instead. I had finally started believing my life was moving forward. That feeling lasted exactly 3 days. Everything changed during Monday's executive meeting. The conference room door burst open. A legal advisor rushed inside. Ms. Sinclair, we have a serious problem. Victoria looked up immediately. What happened? Confidential acquisition documents have been leaked. The room fell silent. My stomach tightened. The advisor continued. Financial news outlets are already publishing details. Victoria stood. How much damage? Company shares are dropping. How much? Almost 12% in the last hour. Nobody spoke. Victoria's expression hardened. Lock every executive account. Already done. Call the cybersecurity team. They're waiting downstairs. She looked around the room. Nobody leaves this floor. Within an hour, the entire company knew. Employees whispered in every hallway. Phones rang nonstop. Television screens displayed headlines about the leak. People looked frightened. Then Nathan Sinclair arrived. He walked into the executive office wearing a perfectly tailored suit and an even more perfect smile. So unfortunate. Victoria crossed her arms. Save the performance. Nathan shrugged. I'm only concerned about the company. His eyes settled on me. Interesting timing. I frowned. What does that mean? You gained executive access only weeks ago. Victoria answered before I could. I approved his access. Nathan nodded. Of course you did. Then he looked around the room. Perhaps your trust was misplaced. Several board members exchanged uneasy looks. I felt every eye turning toward me. The cybersecurity report arrived that afternoon. An investigator placed several printed pages onto the table. We traced access to the stolen files. Victoria asked quietly, "Whose account?" The investigator hesitated. "My account," I whispered. He nodded. The documents were opened using Ethan's employee credentials. I stared at him. That's impossible. Nathan leaned back. Is it? I never leaked anything. The system disagrees. I didn't do this. Nathan folded his hands. Evidence rarely lies. I slammed my palms onto the table. Someone used my account. He smiled. Convenient explanation. By lunchtime, everyone knew. People stopped talking whenever I entered a room. Conversations ended the moment I approached. One coworker actually moved his laptop away from me. Another whispered loudly enough for me to hear. I knew he moved up too fast. Someone else replied, "The CEO trusted the wrong person." Every word hurt. Not because strangers believed them. Because I had finally earned respect. Now it was disappearing again. Victoria called an emergency meeting with shareholders. The atmosphere felt colder than ice. One shareholder stood. This employee must be dismissed immediately. Another nodded. The evidence is clear. A third looked toward Victoria. You cannot protect him. Victoria remained calm. I will not fire an innocent man. Nathan spoke next. How can you know he's innocent? Because I know his character. Nathan laughed softly. Character doesn't erase digital evidence. Victoria didn't move. Neither does accusation prove guilt. Another shareholder interrupted. Our investors demand action. Victoria answered firmly. They'll receive the truth. I packed my desk before anyone asked me to. Oliver found me placing folders into a cardboard box. What are you doing? I'm resigning. No, they'll fire me anyway. So let them try. I'm tired, Oliver. I know. I'm tired of defending myself. He grabbed the box. You don't quit. I don't have a choice. You do. I shook my head. My career is over. No, it is. He looked directly into my eyes. Something isn't right. What do you mean? I've seen Brandon. What about him? He keeps meeting Nathan. I stopped packing. When? Several times. Where? Across the street. You're sure? I followed them yesterday. My heartbeat quickened. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't think it mattered. He lowered his voice. Now I think it matters a lot. That evening I told Victoria everything. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she stood. We investigate quietly. You believe Oliver? I believe patterns. What if we're wrong? Then we lose one evening. And if we're right? She smiled slightly. We save the company. The security department helped us review building records. Hour after hour we searched. Then one technician raised his hand. I found something. Victoria walked over. What is it? He enlarged several security images. Brandon entered an executive archive room late one night. A few minutes later, Madison appeared. My chest tightened. Victoria asked, "Can we track their access cards?" The technician typed rapidly. Yes. Another screen appeared. Madison's credentials opened a restricted records cabinet. Brandon's credentials never did. Victoria whispered. She let him inside. I closed my eyes. No. The next morning, we confronted Madison first. She looked terrified the moment she entered the conference room. Victoria spoke calmly. Please sit. Madison remained standing. What's this about? I slid the security photos across the table. Her face lost all color. Victoria asked quietly. Would you like to explain? Madison started crying. I never meant. What didn't you mean? I thought. She covered her face. Brandon said it was harmless. What exactly did he say? He said Nathan wanted market research. Victoria's voice stayed steady. And you believed him? He promised we'd both get promoted. I stared at her. You traded everything for that. She couldn't look at me. I'm sorry. Sorry. Tears streamed down her face. I didn't know they'd leak the files. You still helped steal them. She sobbed harder. I know. Brandon wasn't nearly as emotional. Security brought him into another conference room. He laughed when he saw us. So, this is the interrogation? Victoria placed the evidence on the table. Explain. He glanced once before shrugging. I don't know anything. Nathan entered behind him. This is ridiculous. The cybersecurity manager connected another monitor. We recovered deleted messages. Brandon's confidence disappeared. Victoria read aloud. Madison has access. We'll copy everything Friday. Another message followed. Nathan promised we're protected. Brandon looked toward Nathan. Nathan looked away. Brandon stood suddenly. This was his idea. Nathan snapped back. You're lying. You planned everything. You stole the files. You paid me. They shouted over each other. Victoria simply nodded toward security. Take them. Two officers stepped forward. Brandon struggled. You can't arrest me. One officer answered calmly. We absolutely can. Nathan lowered his head. Neither man resisted after that. 3 days later, the board removed Nathan from every leadership position. Police charged Brandon with corporate espionage. Madison quietly resigned before anyone asked. She stopped me outside the building carrying one small box. I ruined everything. I looked at her. You did. I thought success would make me happy. Did it? She wiped away fresh tears. No. I nodded once. Goodbye, Madison. She watched me walk away without another word. For the second time in my life, she lost me. This time, it was forever. Months passed faster than I expected. The company slowly recovered. Investors regained confidence. The headlines disappeared. So did the whispers. For the first time since joining the company, people greeted me with genuine respect instead of quiet judgment. One Monday morning, Victoria called me into her office. I knocked. Come in. She was reviewing several reports when I entered. You wanted to see me? I did. She closed the folder in front of her. Sit. I smiled. I've learned that word usually means more work. It does. I laughed. I figured. She slid a document across the desk. Read it. I picked it up. Halfway through the first page, I looked at her in disbelief. This is a promotion. Leadership. She nodded. Effective immediately. I stared at the letter. I don't know what to say. Try thank you. I smiled wider. Thank you. You earned it. I just did my job. You protected this company. I wasn't alone. No. She stood and offered her hand. But you refused to surrender when everyone doubted you. I shook her hand. I'm honored. I know. The promotion changed my position. It didn't change who I wanted to become. For a long time, I had measured my value through someone else's opinion. If Madison smiled, I felt successful. If she ignored me, I questioned everything. Now I finally understood how unhealthy that had been. My confidence no longer depended on another person's affection. It came from knowing exactly who I was. That realization felt better than any promotion. One afternoon, my phone buzzed. The message surprised me. Madison, can we meet one last time? Please. I stared at the screen for several minutes. Finally, I replied. One conversation. That's all. We met at a quiet cafe after work. She arrived early. The confident woman I once loved was gone. She looked exhausted. Her eyes were red. When I sat down, neither of us spoke immediately. Finally, she whispered, "Thank you for coming." I said, "One conversation." She nodded. I know. She wrapped both hands around her untouched coffee. I've rehearsed this speech 100 times. You don't have to rehearse. I do. She looked directly at me. I'm ashamed. I remained silent. She continued. Leaving you for Brandon was the biggest mistake of my life. The words hung between us. I thought success mattered more than loyalty. Her voice cracked. I believed ambition justified everything. She wiped away tears. I was wrong. I watched quietly. She laughed bitterly. I kept thinking promotions would make me happy. They didn't. No. She lowered her head. I lost my career. She took a shaky breath. I lost your trust. Another tear rolled down her cheek. And I lost the only person who ever loved me without asking for anything in return. For a moment, I remember the man I used to be. The version of me who would have forgiven everything just to hear those words. That man no longer existed. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know. Can you forgive me? I thought carefully before answering. I already have. She looked surprised. Really? I forgave you a long time ago. Hope briefly appeared in her eyes. Then I gently added, forgiveness isn't the same as wanting someone back. Her smile disappeared. My feelings are gone, Madison. She closed her eyes. I was afraid you'd say that. I genuinely hope you find happiness. Even after everything. Yes. She nodded slowly. You've changed. I finally learned to respect myself. She stood. I don't deserve your kindness. Maybe not. I smiled politely. But I don't want to carry resentment anymore. She whispered one final goodbye. So do I. I walked away without looking back. This time there was no pain. Only peace. Life settled into a comfortable rhythm. Victoria and I worked together almost every day. Meetings became easier. Deadlines became manageable. Conversations became longer. Sometimes we debated business strategies. Sometimes we argued over spreadsheets. Sometimes we simply shared quiet dinners after another late evening at the office. One night, she looked up from her laptop. You've started smiling more. Have I? Yes. I guess work is less terrifying now. She laughed softly. I should probably apologize. For what? My reputation. You mean everyone believing you're impossible to please? She nodded. They weren't completely wrong. I grinned. No, they weren't. She laughed again. The sound still surprised me. The woman everyone feared had one of the warmest laughs I had ever heard. Another late evening found us alone again. Stacks of reports covered the conference table. I finished reviewing the final page. Done. So am I. Victoria opened one of her desk drawers. I've been saving something. What is it? She removed a single folded sheet of paper. When she handed it to me, I immediately recognized the words. My accidental love message. Printed perfectly. I cover my face. You kept this. For months. Oh no. I reached toward it. Please give me that. She pulled it away before I could grab it. No. Victoria. No. I'll never survive this embarrassment. She laughed harder. I disagree. I was trying to confess to someone else. I know. I accidentally sent it to my CEO. I remember. I'd like history erased. She shook her head. Absolutely not. I groaned. This is cruel. It's memorable. I reached again. She moved the page behind her back. Still no. Finally, she held the paper out again. Here. I blinked. You let me destroy it? She smiled gently. Keep it. I accepted it carefully. Why? She looked directly into my eyes. It's proof that mistakes sometimes lead us exactly where we're supposed to be. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Then I looked down at the printed message. Months earlier, those same words had filled me with panic. Now they made me smile. I folded the page carefully and slipped it into my notebook. I never thought one wrong message could change everything. Victoria closed her laptop. Maybe it wasn't a wrong message. I laughed quietly. Maybe. As we turned off the office lights together, I realized something that would have sounded impossible only months earlier. The message I once believed had ruined my life had actually saved it. And somehow, the future waiting ahead no longer frightened me. For the first time in years, I couldn't wait to see what tomorrow would bring.